This movie was kind of like Goonies Go Vampire, and everyone in it was 8. There was not a girl. They were the Frog Brothers were Cub Scouts, and it was very G-rated. It was very wholesome, you know. And so as I read it, I thought, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do this. So I called my agent, and I called Mark, and I called Dick to tell them I wasn't going to do it. But it was lunchtime, and they were all out, and I went running. And while I was running, I thought, you know, it's just a cave in this movie, but why couldn't it be this kind of Death in Venice hotel that fell into the San Andreas Fault? And, you know, why couldn't the vampires be teenagers, and why couldn't it be sexy, and why couldn't they look like English gypsies, and why couldn't they be on motorcycles? And by the time everybody called back, I said I'd like to come in and talk to them.
I had a suite of offices, and I moved him into an office and kind of left him alone. And I walked in one day, and there on the bulletin board behind him, he had done these cutouts of what the costumes should be for the people. And I looked at it, and I said, I couldn't believe what a great decision we had made, because in no way in hell would I have ever come up with that sense of style and that bizarreness that Joel had.
When I had first read the original screenplay for Lost Boys, I was a little concerned because the whole thing had been written really for 13 and 14-year-olds to play it. And it was Joel who kind of started to stretch some of the characters' ages out. So I would be 18, Jason Patrick was, I think, in his early 20s. And so the picture got broader. It was also at a really young point in my career when I certainly had not done enough work to get a sense of what was going to be good or what was going to be bad. And so a lot of trust was required between myself as an actor and a director. And Joel had such a fantastic sense of style that I remember knowing that this was going to be special. No one had costume, no film at that time had costumes like that or had a look like that. And you could just see it. You could see it from the sets to the wardrobe to the makeup, all the way down the line. And I remember being just amazed to just see from the original screenplay that I read to watching the movie that he was making, they were really two completely different entities. And that's when I started to realize the incredible power a director has.
I love being with a director who knows how to use the energy you have. And Joel is really good at using that. He knows exactly what the strength of an actor is and uses that quality. Joel never does anything that's absolutely standard. I think you mentioned it before when we were talking before we started. He's successful in a lot of different genres and types of films. But there's always an element, oddly enough, there's always a moral element in his films that I don't think people give him credit for. He tackles a lot of subjects that are difficult. An 8mm. I mean, that's the best performance I've ever seen Nick Cage give. It's just, it's terrific. And it goes in very uncomfortable places, but not for prurient reasons. He doesn't do it just to make a sexy movie or a dirty movie. He's really trying to say something about it, and that there is something in the human condition that needs to be addressed. And this one is an awful lot of fun because there is something that we can all identify with.
I hadn't worked that closely with a director in film before, and he kind of made it like summer camp. And I guess maybe that was a sort of a theory of directing for him, was keeping it fun, keeping us excited, and encouraging camaraderie together. And when it came to the directing, I think that he was always so excited about things that it just, when he wanted something a certain way, I was happy to do it, and he was able to articulate things really well. And he really made the whole thing a lot of fun.
Every morning, it's my dudes, and he'd come in all happy and good morning, let's do this, and you know, and I had a great rapport with Joel. When people watch The Lost Boys, I don't think they really realize that they're watching it through Joel's eyes. You know, literally watching it through Joel's eyes. I mean, he was there every step of the way, you know, on everything, not only like location scouting, things he didn't have to be there for, he was there for, you know, so it was his baby.
I just think Joel has so much foresight as a director, as a filmmaker. And for him to actually have a film where he's allowed to become as explosive and expressive with the wardrobe elements and the set design. And you have to understand that Joel's basically done every job through the course of his career, from writer on up and writer on down in film, from costume designer, production designer, right across the board. So he really, the film lent itself to someone being able to have their hands in all of that.
I could never have done it as well as he did it, because I never saw this wonderful, bizarre take Joel has.
That was Joel's vision, you know, and it worked out wonderfully. As I said, I think this is in some ways the most personal and heartfelt of all Joel's movies, the ones that I've seen anyway. And he really, there was something in this movie that he really responded to, personally, you know. And it shows.
The day I met Schumacher was it. And you know what? I owe a lot of this to my wife, Lauren. Because as soon as I said I was moving on, she said, Schumacher, 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 Schumacher. And he's still a good friend. We still send the same bottle of champagne back and forth on our birthdays. Make a little nick in the thing. I know it's the same one.